Hello, welcome to our fourth episode of Overkill, OK4. Thank you guys so much for watching and for all of your support so far. We really appreciate it. I feel the love. Once again, thank you for our wonderful sponsors, The Partisan, they rock. Thank you, Theresa. She's the awesome barkeep here while we are doing our interviews. And today, I welcome a very special guest, and I'm very excited to have him on, Nathan Quevedo. He is the Public Information Officer for the Merced County of Education, right? Education Office, right?
County Office of Education.
Yes, County Office
So
of
the full
Education.
title is Public Information Officer for the Merced County Office of Education, and it's so long. I say PIO, people don't know what the heck I'm talking about. And honestly,
PIO sounds like an investigator. You're a private investigator.
Yeah, that or some little bird. But Public Information Officer is a really old term.
Yes.
I think that now
it's a government term.
Yeah, it is definitely a government term. Most people who do my job in other organizations are called public affairs representatives, something along those lines.
Or even public relations officer.
Public relations officer.
Yes.
That is even more common.
Yes.
But thanks for having me, Theresa.
Oh, thank you. Well, and that's not all you do. You're also a writer for the Downtown Life magazine.
I am. I'm the music writer, and once in a while I'll do a feature about something that has to do with art, typically. I stay in the art area more than other aspects of the magazine. Beyond that, I'm the continuity editor because my background is copy editing. I worked for the local paper, the Merced Sun-Star.
Come on, you got to be a copy editor.
Definitely. I worked for the Merced Sun-Star as a copy editor and a music columnist, and I was one of the lucky few that graduated and got a job the next week.
Awesome.
In the field that I studied. I studied organizational communications and journalism. So the next week, got a job at the Sun-Star.
Wow.
And 9 years later, I'm still employed in the same field that I graduated in, which is great.
That is great.
You know, I don't think that happens too often. I talk to a lot of English majors that are now insurance agents or, you know, just kind of random paths.
Right. Living the dream. Living the dream. Yeah. So 9 years ago, speaking of that, because that really interests me, because I also kind of went the same path that you did, although I graduated actually in education and was like, no, this is not for me. And went several years in HR, which I could have slit my wrists. And then
human resources seems like it's okay though. You know, I could see myself going and working in human resources. The work that our office does anyway.
You could not. You were so full. I know you could not. You've got too big of a personality. Yeah,
but they get to talk to people every day. You know, someone comes into the office. Well, we deal with all of the substitute teachers. And then everyone who's trying to get a credential, anyone who gets hired at a school has to get fingerprinted.
You do that?
I don't do that, but the office right across the hall, Human Resources does. And that's why it looks like they're always getting to talk to people. And you're right. I'm outgoing. I like talking to people. I like meeting new people, making friends wherever I go.
Right.
So that's an important part of public affairs.
Very, very much so. Yeah. And so 9 years ago, when you went in, how different is it now? You know, with that, not only journalism, I mean, obviously there's tons that have changed with journalism from, 9 years ago to today, but even in the public relations field, how has it changed for you?
Well, let's start with journalism. When I entered journalism full-time 9 years ago, it was the Merced Sun-Star, owned by a kind of obscure, smaller company called Pacific Sierra Publishing. I want to say about a year or two into my tenure there, the McClatchy Company bought the Sun-Star. And the McClatchy Company would become the second largest newspaper organization in the country, with the Miami Herald is their flagship. There was another big paper in St. Paul or St. Louis or something. It escapes me now. When I left the Sun-Star 3 years later, and this is strange, when I got the job at MCOE and gave my boss my 2 weeks, when I looked on the calendar, it was exactly 3 years to the day that I would work at the Sun-Star.
Wow.
So that was kind of ironic.
Yeah.
When I left the Sun-Star, the McClatchy stock was at about $42 or $44, somewhere in that neighborhood. Within 1 year, it was down to about $3. So that says a lot about what happened with the newspaper industry. Print, yes. Print newspapers, in my opinion, they got into the online game without a real strategy. It was kind of a knee-jerk reaction that well, hey, look, there's this place that we can put all our news, and let's just put it up there for free. Instead of thinking about, well, how is this going to affect our business in the long term?
Right.
We should, if they would have started charging in the very beginning, I think that we as the consumer of news would be used to that idea.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't be completely strange. A lot of people will scoff at that. And what they'll do, and I'm guilty of this also, is find a news story, and you go to the website and it's a subscription site. Okay, well, I'm going to Google this name, like the headline or something, and you find it somewhere else for free.
I'm going to get it for free.
Yeah, if you're savvy on the internet at all, you can get around most of that. But it's unfortunate that happened.
Now, did you see that coming? Is that why you went into, more of a...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I saw it coming, and I would continually see how in journalism in general, I was not going to be able to make much of a living. And I have 2 little kids, so that was definitely a concern to me. The room for growth there was non-existent. People were at that point. We had just started a round of layoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That had just started, and they would go through quite a few rounds of layoffs. And unfortunately, the size of the staff there is probably I know it's less than half of when I was working there. And a lot of people will knock the Sun Star and knock the local paper. They really just don't have the resources they used to.
No, of course they don't. Of course they don't. And I think that's kind of the fate of all kind of smaller, communities, is that there really is, there's not enough resources, funding, or justification, which is kind of sad anymore, because of exactly what you said, why you jumped ship, because technically savvy people, and even people who, the fastest growing, demographic on the internet right now are the baby boomers, and even 65 and over. So even they are starting to kind of jump on that bandwagon. So there's really not, anything that you can, you can sustain it with anymore, which is kind of sad.
It is really sad. It's sad because a huge part of it is that no other organization covers that. No, we don't have anyone else going to the city council meetings. It's just the local papers, and that's where I have to give credit to the County Times also.
Right.
They do a great job of promoting the positive things in the county, and the Sun Star does a good job of being more of a watchdog, which they're supposed to.
Yes, absolutely. Well, yes, it's news,
Right.
and you need a rah-rah, obviously, especially I think in Merced. I think it's so important to have that rah-rah, but at the same time, and that was my fear when when Mike Tharp was let go, honestly, and when the editor, when they
Dave Hill, now that he's there.
Yeah, and I'm telling, it really kind of scared me just a little bit, only because it's like, well, who is going to be that watchdog now? Who's going to, and not even watchdog, who's just going to give us the news in an unbiased fashion,
Right, and I can't say that I've worked much with Dave Hill. I remember him on the Modesto B copy desk, because he's from Modesto. What I will say, though, is that Joe Kita, who was my boss at the Sun Star, is now the editor of the Modesto B, and he's a great journalist. He will report the news in an unbiased way, and he'll make sure that all of these papers do too. And I don't know if this is the case or not, but I had always kind of seen the Modesto B as kind of the Sun Star's big brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
I do too.
Helping them out, making sure everything's running smoothly.
Yeah, I do too. Well, and especially when all the cuts were happening, because that's what was happening. All the design, the layout, that was taken care. That was done in Modesto.
Now it's done in Modesto.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, they moved my old job is up in Modesto. And I still talk to those guys, my old coworkers. I actually sent them an email. So much of a copy editor nerd I get to be. I was proofing a story in the Downtown Life magazine, and I ran across the word non-air conditioned, and it was non-air space condition. I said, this is wrong.
It's gotta be wrong. That's totally wrong.
It's unair conditioned, one word. That's the first thing that pops in my mind. So I emailed them, and they reply, "You're completely right." And he even said, "I've got a consensus on the desk here. It's unair conditioned, one word, no hyphen."
But don't you hate that though, when you're looking at the AP style book and the word's not there? Because I know you. You went to the AP style book first, I'm sure, and you said, "Damn it, it's not in here."
Well, and that's The hard thing about my job is I write press releases, which are AP style. They have to be AP style.
Of course they do.
Because then I get a higher chance of it actually running in the paper.
And yeah, being picked up, exactly.
And a reporter looking at it and saying, well, this guy knows what he's doing at least. It's the right style. And other styles of writing in my organization are MLA or APA. You know, that's Modern Language Association. And
I mean, education. I mean, MLA is.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
so I am having to switch modes all the time, and that's hard. You know, it's hard for me to jump from one to the other constantly.
Yeah.
But I really do enjoy writing features, even the features that I've written for the County Office of Education. I've been up to Camp Green Meadows multiple times. I met Jack L. Boyd, who founded the school. He passed away recently, sadly enough.
I'm sorry, but how wonderful that you got to meet him.
Yeah, it was a great experience. The guy was sharp as a tack at 90. I think I met him when he was 90 or 91. I can't remember what age he was, but great experience up there. I've also been on a few other outdoors trips with the Adventure Risk Challenge Group, and they take, this is really interesting, this is a cooperative of UC Berkeley, and maybe UC Merced, and I want to say there's one other entity wrapped in there somehow. But they take students up to the Tahoe Truckee area, and they also take them up to the Wawona area of Yosemite. And for Merced County, it's Dos Palos students.
Okay.
And they'll take 40 students from the Dos Palos area. No, maybe not 40 students. I misspoke there. They take students up to this camp for 40 days. This is during the summer, and this is very strange for a lot of these students.
They probably never left.
Yeah. This is definitely a strange thing, but great for them to give them more experience. They work on outdoor education and literacy. They work on literacy. They have creative writing. It's a great program. So covering that was just, it was a ton of fun. I had a great time up in Yosemite talking with these kids, learning where they're from, talking with the teachers and the director, Jennifer Gorecki. She really knows how to teach these kids these important skills. They're never going to get this out in South Dos Palos.
Right.
And I'm sad to say that, but that is definitely an impoverished area of Merced County.
How are they chosen? How are these kids chosen?
You know, I want to say that there's some kind of, not a grant process. I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't remember. It's been a while since I did that story maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But that was an example of a fun feature that I got to do. Get out of town, go with Merced County students somewhere fun, and let people in the community kind of educate the community about what Merced County students are doing. So to me, that's the best of both worlds. I really enjoy writing features, and I really enjoy focusing on Merced County and what we're doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell that, just with your articles with the DLM and I was going to say, the third job description that I was going to put on you was actually the arts and music component of Merced.
Thank you.
Because you do.
There's definitely some people that are out there creating the art.
But you really, and I think that you are in a sense because you are writing, and I think that is an art form of itself, and I think that it is a dying art form. So I personally appreciate that. But just what you're doing, and I think also what I like about it is because you have a public information background, public relations background, you're able to not only take that information but disperse it to the masses. And I think that in part, between you and Tom Price, who is the publisher of DLM, that just speaks accolades as far as the dedication and really the phone's ringing. Yeah, sorry about that. The dedication and just the passion that you have for really promoting the arts in the community, because I really do believe, and I know a lot of people don't believe this, but I do believe that communities that have art and celebrate art and really push art are better communities. I think they have higher sustainability rates. I think that they, are able to provide more jobs. they're able to provide a better environment. So I think that you're bringing so much to that, you know. So tell me about your relationship with Tom and how that kind of came together and how you became a writer for it.
Definitely. One thing that I do want to mention, though, because you were talking about art,
yes.
and MCOE formed a foundation last year. We have since sponsored I want to say about 30 or 40 kids to go up to Camp Green Meadows, the outdoor school we operate up near Fish Camp, and their foster youth. We sponsored the whole thing through the foundation, through donations.
Wow, through donations.
And through donations from the foundation. And we also hosted 4 performances of The Hobbit at Golden Valley. And there were 63 students in this production. It was the huge production, inaugural year of our summer visual and performing arts program. And that's something that...
So it's inaugural, so it will occur again.
Oh, yes. That's something that my boss, Superintendent Steve Gomes, this is one of his biggest pushes.
That's great.
To get out there and let the community know how important art is, that it's being cut from schools, but we're going to do everything we can to make sure that it's still a component with these students' education. We have met with Playhouse Merced. After they saw this performance, they said, why haven't we not partnered sooner? And we've got some great ideas.
That's great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share more about that when it's all firmed up. But the MCOE Foundation is out there. If folks are interested in learning more about it or donating or volunteering their time, they can go to our website, mcoe.org, and there's a foundation link right there. Or give me a call, 209-381-6759.
That's great.
So there's my plug for the foundation.
No, hey, no, and you can do as many plugs. Everybody knows as many plugs as possible. And you know, before we go back to the DLM, because you did do a tremendous piece on The Hobbit and MCOE, I can't knock this over people's heads enough as far as my belief that cutting these types of programs from education is just going to be the final nail in the coffin for our students. I think that creativity just breeds just innovation, intelligence. You know, when people are being taught just to pass tests, and when people, you know, when kids just are so bored, they're being put on, you know, medication or whatever because they're, you know, they've got ADHD. I think that so much of that, as far as me, and this is my personal opinion, but I think so much of that could be eliminated if there were more programs what the MCOE is supporting. You know, you guys went after, I mean, you know, something that I think a lot of people in Merced thought would be impossible. And you guys proved everybody wrong. And you guys gave 60 plus students
and
the opportunity.
1,300 people throughout the 4 performances. We served about 1,300 people. And a huge part of that program, there was some sponsorship, but it was a big part of it was the California Endowment. They gave us a lot of money, about half of the money for the whole program. And that is, for folks who don't know, that is the organization that runs Building Healthy Communities. And they're very prominent in this South Merced, and then I know out in Planada and Beechwood, Franklin area. I think those are the 3 main spots for BHC. But yes, arts and education, extremely important. I have been playing music since 3rd grade. What do you play? Back then I played clarinet. I moved on to bass guitar, a little bit of piano. I was more interested in keyboards because they're really fun. Vocals. I've kind of laid off all music in the past few years. It's really difficult for me to fit that in. And I'm more interested in going to shows, watching these guys who have a lot more time.
Bringing shows.
Oh, yeah. RC and Tom both, because
RC is the owner of the Partisan. Okay.
And we've got quite a history here of RC bringing great shows to Merced.
He has.
And then Tom has started the shows at the Arts Center, at the Multicultural Arts Center. Typically, it's the last Friday. I think it's the last Friday, of the month that he does it. And they're all ages shows, which is, I remember when I was a kid growing up here, we had all ages shows all the time. You know, at least one a weekend. Sometimes we had different venues. And that helped grow my interests and kind of inspire me to start playing music and to go to shows out of town and to really get into bands and what they're doing and follow them. So yeah, I think that's why I'm still very interested in being a music writer, arts and entertainment in general.
And tell me then how, and I know that we went off like on several different tangents. Tell me how you and Tom got together and how you became a contributing writer.
Well, I met Tom when he first, no, I don't know if it was when he first came to Merced, but he started working at the Sun Star, and I had been gone a couple years, maybe 2 or 3 years. But I had a lot of friends there because I worked there for a while. So I met Tom, and he had kicked around this idea of starting an independent magazine. And I had thought about the same thing a while ago. But I just don't have the time, and I'm nowhere near the designer he is. You know, he is a really impressive designer. I can do a little bit here and there in Photoshop or Quark or InDesign, and that dates me right there.
I was going to say, Quark, you just said Quark. All right.
But it's, you know, with computers, it's what you know. That's what I grew up on. That's what I used when I was very young. So I'm very fast in that program. Anyway, so he started the magazine and said, "Hey, Nathan, you want to be a music writer? You know, you used to do this for a long time with the Sun Star." I had been out of that, you know, I hadn't been writing for the Sun Star for about 3 years, and all I was doing were press releases, opinion/editorial pieces. Right. And when I say I do the opinion editorial pieces, what I really mean is my boss writes them.
Yeah, your boss writes them.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
So we get this idea together. He comes up with design ideas, a name, starts to put together the advertising. People are interested in it immediately. We released the first issue, and I want to say within, because he was still working at the Sun Star, within the 2 months or so, he had to either stop the magazine or stop working there, because he was selling advertising in the same market, which I hadn't thought of. He hadn't thought of either. So he had to quit his day job to keep the magazine going, and it turned out to work out well for him. So we're going on, what, our third year anniversary now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really impressive.
So I think, except for maybe 2 or 3 issues, I've written something for every single issue. I've had a few issues where I wrote a huge feature, then another small story, and then had 4 or 5 photos speckled throughout the thing.
Yeah.
I love when I look at that, and I can show my kids, hey, I did all this.
Right.
Look at this.
Right. Yeah.
So that's it. And my kids watching me do these things, you know, they see my name in this magazine. I can tell it inspires them to go out and try to do the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, I mean, it's you see, there's something about with the kids when your name is in print, it just, you know, gives you that, I don't know, just that, wow, I could be that too, you know, and then you're thinking to yourself, it's no big deal, you know, whatever.
I also host a radio show on KYOS.
Yes, you do.
Community Conversations. It's on Saturday at 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. And then an encore presentation, that's what's called in radio, at 10 a.m. on Sunday, or a rebroadcast. So one of our neighbors, his son heard this. He heard me on the radio, and he said, "Man, my kids, Hannah and Gwen, are cool. Their dad's on the radio. Yeah. His name's in the newspaper."
Yeah.
So kids think that's really cool.
He's somebody. I want to be just like him. Yeah. No, I totally get that.
And their dad owns a bar that they've never been into. So he is a co-owner here. So it's really funny. They don't really get to see this place.
I was going to say, they don't really, I guess it would be a little bit illegal, but yeah.
Though I've seen people walk in, they try to walk in, nope, you got to get out right now. And they think that if, you know, they serve food here so they can come in. Well, they don't serve any food, so you can't come in.
You can't come in. Yeah, that's so funny. That's great. And I wanted to also ask you, being a PR person, it's so funny because I think that we mirror each other to the point where it's almost scary, you know, just, I was a newspaper reporter and then was like, I see this going downhill. I'm going to get into public relations. I've been kind of in that public relations mode ever since. I really, really wanted to get your opinion on the whole Chick-fil-A and how they handled that seriously and what you would have done in that same situation, because I don't have many PR buddies. And
well, I would say overall, it's been fairly successful for them. When you look, they had, for folks who are unfamiliar with this, Dan Cathy, I think that's his name.
Yes.
Excuse me. Dan Cathy was on a Christian radio show, was asked about his beliefs in marriage, and he stated that he believes in a traditional marriage. And I'm paraphrasing here because I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was to the effect that he thinks that we're
guilty as charged,
arrogant or ignorant or something as a generation to think that we can come in and change the definition of marriage according to what the Bible says. Now, I've got a bunch of my own personal beliefs about this, and if you want to look at what the Bible literally says about a lot of things, it's kind of strange, and people don't live by those rules. But he says this, and then the mayors of Boston, Chicago, and San Francisco are all very unhappy with this and voice their concerns about being unhappy with it. And at first I thought that's discrimination on their part to say that they don't want a Chick-fil-A to come in because this is a government organization. You're a mayor, you're elected. So in one sense, you have to be the spokesperson of this community. They elected you, your constituency. So you have to be their spokesperson. But at the same time, you have to make sure that you're not using that government power in a way that would, I guess, not be beneficial to a private organization who hasn't done anything wrong other than expressed a belief. Their business practices, I haven't heard anything bad about any of their business practices. They have, they're an equal opportunity employer. I've heard that they have gay or lesbian employees. So they haven't done anything wrong. Someone just, the leader of their organization came out and gave his opinion, which under the First Amendment, he can do so. Now, people who don't agree with that, what they can do is not go there. And to me, that's the bottom line. But I have seen a lot of people post on either social media sites or opinion pieces online, different opinions about it. So I've kind of changed my mind a little bit on this. I'm not very easily persuaded. I don't like reading opinion pieces much because I like to form my own opinion. I like to read the facts. And that was my knee-jerk reaction, was that these mayors are discriminating against him. What they're doing, and it's not technically discrimination. Fox News will tell you it is. Oh, they were the first ones all over that angle of it. But
I'm sorry.
But and Fox News as a whole. What I do is I read Fox News every day, and I try to watch about half an hour a week, spread out throughout the week. And no, I don't like Fox News, but I want to see what they're saying. I'm interested in what they're saying.
Absolutely.
I want to, kind of see what every different news organization has to say about a story.
Sure. Yep. I agree completely.
What these mayors did effectively was come out and try to enact a social change. And this is very reminiscent of civil rights. Back in, what was that, the 60s? Yeah. We'll see where it goes. I think that the whole gay marriage, same-sex couple idea has gained momentum out here in California. Well, San Francisco is, 100 miles away. So we definitely are a little more progressive about that. I don't know about out here in Merced necessarily. This is definitely a more conservative area of California. We have a lot of farmers and retired Air Force. I understand that. And it's funny when you look at a map of California and who's conservative. It's the Valley.
I know.
It's
the Valley. It's right where we are.
And it's Orange County and it's San Diego. Those are the biggest pockets. Sure, there's pockets elsewhere. Those are the biggest pockets.
Right. Yes. And, it's kind of funny because, and thank you for sharing that. I personally will not go to a Chick-fil-A now. I won't. Now, am I going to politicize it? Am I going to penalize somebody else for wanting a delicious chicken sandwich and waffle fries? No.
What I thought is funny about this is I've seen probably about 4 different recipes for how to make this.
Right, yeah.
People are
Hey,
just
here
posting
it
this
is. You're
everywhere.
jonesing for one. Here you go. You know, I agree, and I you know, I agree with you in the sense that yes, these elected officials were making a very big, I believe, you know, social statement. And
Well
I
said.
respect
No,
that.
you're right. This is more of a social statement than anything else.
Statement, and
they can't do anything to block a business from coming in because they don't like what someone said.
Right. They absolutely cannot, because then you're basically, you know, I mean, you know, it's just what you said. They've got First Amendment rights, you know.
It wasn't hate speech.
No, it was not hate speech.
It was just his opinion.
It wasn't. And he said traditional marriage. He didn't even say, you know, I mean, I hate gay people or that I don't. So not defending him by any means. What I have a problem with, and the reason why I do not eat there anymore, is because they do fund organizations that are trying to make, you know, gay people not gay, and you know, all of these,
especially in other countries.
Right.
Yeah. No, I read about that too, and they do give quite a bit of money to those anti-gay or anti-same-sex marriage organizations, and they're not very vocal about it. They kind of keep that quiet.
Not. Yeah, and why would they? You know, it's smart. You know, I mean, I think that's a very smart, as far as a PR move. That's smart. But I just feel like both sides kind of lost. I think that, you know, the gay, lesbian, transgender rights side kind of lost a little bit, and I think that the, you know, I don't know, traditional marriage side kind of lost a little bit. It's
more
like,
conservative, traditional marriage side of things. But you heard about the Chick-fil-A day. Mike Huckabee,
conservative value.
Former Arkansas governor, former presidential candidate. I don't know, maybe he still is Arkansas governor?
No, not anymore.
No, he isn't. That's right. Okay.
Now he's a correspondent for Fox News.
That's just like Sarah Palin. Well, let's talk about Fox News. We could spend a whole show just talking about Fox News. So, Mike Huckabee said, we support this, you know, or I support this. Right. How many of you out there support this? Let's all go and eat at Chick-fil-A for one day. Okay, so the news reports that I read were some Chick-fil-A's had a drive-through line that was a mile long. The places were packed. What if, and I'll say what if, instead of on that day everyone going to a Chick-fil-A, they went to a local business, a local restaurant. How much money would that infuse into their own local area instead of supporting this huge organization? When you said, I won't eat at Chick-fil-A anymore, all I was thinking was, I don't eat any fast food at all whatsoever. This was something January 1st. This was a New Year's resolution, and one that I've stuck to. I will admit I've had In-N-Out twice. But that is an organization, and that's a very Christian organization. Yes, you know, they even have the Bible, not the whole verse, but John 3:16 is on their cups or some kind of box.
It sure is.
But a darn good cheeseburger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Heck yeah.
So I'm more interested in supporting a local business, and I wish that other people were. You know, and I've told my kids this. They took a long time. They finally understand.
It's a great point. I mean, and you make a stronger statement, I think, than anything. Yeah.
Instead of eating at a chain fast food place, you know, support your local place. So we've got a ton of great ones downtown.
We sure do.
You know, right? Just on this block, we've got J&R Tacos and the Sub Stop, and then Little Pink Foxes. And then over here we've got Trevino's, and then Bella Luna and King. You know, there's all these great places right here. If you don't like one, if you don't like Mexican food, we've got Asian food. You don't like Asian food, we've got American food. Right. You know, there's definitely options instead of going to McDonald's.
Exactly. And that said, as far as your stance on supporting local, and that's another thing that I will attest. I mean, I know you support all local all the time. What would you like to see happen downtown in the next, 2 to 5 years? What would you like to see? I mean, do you think that there's a chance to rebuild? I am seeing it, and I am really excited about it. But what do you see?
I really think there is. There's a few specific things that I personally want. One of them is a Greek food place.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, that would be great to get a gyro. But more local businesses coming downtown, that's always a good thing. I think the city sees the value in downtown. People come downtown. All the UC students, I like the idea of having more festivals. I would love to have a craft beer festival in Merced. It would be cool downtown. I'd rather have it out at Lake Yosemite.
Yeah.
I think it's a little cooler out there. You know, it's got to be in the summer. I'm going to one in Visalia this weekend, and the forecast was 108 or 109 or something. But from what I've read all this stuff online, it's at Mooney Grove Park, which is the Lake Yosemite of Visalia.
Right.
You know, it's the same distance outside of town.
Right.
And everyone said it is about literally 10 degrees cooler out there than it is in Visalia. There's a nice breeze. So I'm going to go and try to steal some ideas from them.
Awesome.
See if I can bring that back here. I would love to be one of the founders of the Merced Craft Beer Festival.
That'd be great.
And I'm sure there's a lot of other people around here that would enjoy that. But just specifically downtown, it's always great to have more restaurants. I personally would enjoy a few more bars. And people will say, oh, it's competition. But sure, it's competition. But it's also bringing a bunch more people down here. So the more people you draw to this area, I think all these businesses will benefit from that. They'll benefit from the foot traffic. I was just left right before I came here, the Merced Theater. The County Office of Education is having our first ever all-employee kickoff celebration. You know, we employ more than 1,000 people. Now, some of them are off contract right now. They're not working. But we're going to fill that theater up. It's a 1,200 seat theater. We're going to fill almost the whole thing up. So with all of those folks there, I visited several downtown businesses. I wanted to be a good neighbor. I brought them a letter that gave them all the information about it. You know, this day on this morning, it's going to be a little busier than usual. Parking might be a little difficult. We apologize in advance.
Right.
You know, and this good PR for us. But the most important thing that I try to impart on them is you're likely going to see a little more foot traffic than you usually do.
Absolutely.
Especially for lunchtime. And so I talked with multiple businesses, and they said, you know, I asked them if they would want to give a discount to MCOE employees, and they said, you know what, these are educators or someone who works for a school. This great idea. We'll do this. Even if it's just a free drink or 10% off. Yeah, it's welcoming them into this restaurant they may or may not have ever been to. We employ
will probably
people
return now.
Right, and we employ people from throughout the county. So someone from the west side, Los Banos, or one of Augustine, one of those towns, comes out here. They don't really hang out in downtown Merced. This might draw them and say, wow, this theater is beautiful. They've got nice restaurants. We should go to downtown Merced more.
That's awesome.
And so hopefully that, will ignite something or help a little bit. We'll see. This is the first one.
That's great.
And I'm nervous. This is probably...
You'll do fine.
And I didn't feel nervous until I actually got up on the stage and looked out there and saw all 1,200 seats.
Yeah, it's a big theater.
It is a big theater. Luckily, I know a good portion of these people. And I'd have to say, I worked there for 6 years. Even after 6 years, there's no way you're going to get to know more than 1,000
of course not.
people that work at different places throughout the county. But I have met a lot of them.
Good.
And yeah, I'm excited, a little nervous, but really excited about it.
You'll do great.
It'll be a fun day.
You're PR pro. You'll do fine. It's all good.
Cheers to that. All
Cheers. Right. Yeah. My empty glass. Okay. That's so cool. Good. So what do you see yourself doing in like 5 or 10 years? What's your dream job?
My dream job? I've got 3. One of them would be, I'd like to be a writer for some kind of show.
Okay. What kind of show?
A show like 30 Rock.
All right.
Now, that would be fun. I'd love to work on the writing staff for that show. That's why I think that's a great comedy. Anything Tina Fey does is gold, in my opinion. Another thing I'd like to do is be a producer, either with music or with movies. I wouldn't want to be a producer in television. I only want to write for television.
Right.
I would love to be a producer, and because that's the bigger picture. Some producers they get a producer credit because they gave the film a whole bunch of money.
Right.
Other producers actually put the whole thing together.
Right.
They are the ones who are working through all the logistics and then have creative input on how we can make this project better. And then the third job would be to work as an arts and entertainment writer.
Which you're kind of already doing.
Well, I am, but I need a day job. That's the thing. So yeah, I guess one of them I already have. I'd love to do it on a bigger scale, to work in a big market, either in Southern California or the Bay Area. It's not like you need to live there anymore to actually write for those things, but it's just, making those connections and dedicating enough time to it, which I can't right now. With the Downtown Life magazine, I'm here.
Right.
I'm here in the middle of things, so
Sure.
I can do a phone interview and spend a couple hours researching stuff, writing the story, no problem. But for a big publication, I'll probably need to spend a bit more time on that, and I just don't have that right now. I have a busy enough job, and I love it when people say, "Oh, well, you work for schools, Nathan. You have the whole summer off, don't you?" No way. How much of a month employee?
Yeah, exactly. I'm in administration. I don't get time off.
Yeah,
right.
so that's, and there's been a sea change in education with the way that our funds have just been slashed left and right. At the state level. MCOE is a little, barely better off than the districts because we do get federal funding for our Head Start, the preschool program, and then special education. There's a lot of federally mandated things that we have to do for students that are in special education. And some of them are unfunded mandates, which that's always
That's
fun.
A bitch. Yeah.
But we've been a very conservative organization.
Really quick, explain unfunded mandates.
An unfunded mandate is, let's say that all students in a school, and I'll just give some ridiculous example, all students in a school have to have three specific textbooks. This is a mandate, and you have to do this. If you don't do this, we're going to shut you down, or you're going to receive these kind of sanctions. But they don't give you any money to buy any of the textbooks. That is an example of what would be an unfunded mandate.
Okay.
So that's, fair enough. I guess that is. At least I'm not throwing out all these acronyms, because whenever I'm around educators, all they do is acronym, and we have a name for that. It's called AFE, acronyms for everything. And whenever I go to Southern California, it's kind of that way too.
I'm sure.
Yeah, especially like the Huntington, Long Beach, or San Diego area, where depending on where you are, it's acronyms for everything. AFE.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yes, I do. I know that it's very challenging right now with...
Yeah, and we had our first annual report, and that was, since Dr. Gomes has come into office, we've definitely done quite a few new things. This all-employee meeting, annual report, the summer performing arts program.
Right.
We are pushing forward into different areas, and it's great to see this growth. And, kind of thinking outside the box, or really taking a start. And when he said let's support the arts, he's pulling at my heartstrings. So yes, okay, what are you going to do to support the arts? I'm all behind it. You just let me know how I can help.
Right.
But we got great coverage for that summer performing arts program.
She did.
And it's not because I did an exceptionally well job promoting it. It's because it's a good program, and all these media people see the value in that. Sometimes I can try to sell the heck out of something, and it goes nowhere. Luckily, a lot of people that I work with realize that I don't have control over everything.
Oh, yeah,
I can write my press release, and I can attach photos with it.
You pitch it. You could,
do what I can.
Right.
But ultimately, I don't have to say if it's going to run or not. But The Hobbit, everyone wanted it. If they wanted to go there, they wanted to get backstage, they wanted to take a picture. I mean, we had a front page photo spread in the Sun Star. That was really impressive.
It was great.
Yeah. But, education, the funding is obviously the biggest challenge. There's going to be some tax initiatives this fall that I've seen some best and worst case scenario situations, and it looks like if we don't get these tax initiatives, education's going to take a bigger hit, which is, really frustrating. That's that's not something that that's not something that we can promote.
Right.
One way or the other.
Right.
As a government organization, we can't try to tell people how to vote on anything.
Right, exactly.
So, but we can illustrate.
But you can educate.
We can educate them and illustrate what it would be like if they were to vote for him, how much more money schools would get, and how much they wouldn't.
Right.
So that's another tricky part of PR.
Of
PR working for or in an elected office. So that's being there 6 years now. I've seen a lot of different things happen, and the Public Information Act, where people can just
hey, I want this,
whatever they want. They can find out anything they want about our organization,
Mm-hmm.
and that surprised me when I first started working there. I knew that, but I didn't realize how much they can ask for.
Yes, they can ask for anything and everything,
and it's
down to emails.
It's been we will get we'll get, I don't want to say subpoenaed, but we'll get a request,
Yes.
and we'll have to produce a box this big full of paper. And the first thing I think is, what a waste of paper.
Right.
But, that legally, this is what we have to do. We're a public organization. We
Yep.
have to be transparent.
Exactly.
And transparency is very important. And I remember back in the newspaper days, we were always more likely to cover an organization, or at least hear them out, that is always transparent.
Absolutely.
Compared to one that constantly shut us down and
you
did
wanted
not
to dig.
Yeah, well, and then we want to dig more. Yeah, exactly. I think that's just human nature. If you're told no, you want to know why, and you want to find out how you can work around it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
You're
This was
welcome. I feel
great.
like we covered a lot of ground.
We did.
And
we're gonna have you back.
Yeah,
Just to talk about Fox News and
let's wait until let's wait till after the election.
All right.
Come on and talk about that.
We'll do it. Well, thank you so much. We get tears.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Theresa.
Thank you.